the perfect manager for Chelsea Football Club? This is the question that all of you watching want to know. So let me break it down to you and give you a few candidates. And essentially, I'm going to start from the least best to the best. So first of all, number 2 and number 3, they're both very talented managers. And I'm not sure for this specific Chelsea football squad which one would be able to perform better over a sort of long-term regime which Chelsea do need. But before we get into it, I just want to say, Chelsea are shit. We are shit, right? And it's a hard season to go through. It's better than last season, but is it? We're only 11th and we finished 12th last season. Now, I do want to sit here and say that we're showing more promise than we did last season, because we are. But essentially, we're just one position ahead. This is by no means Chelsea quality at all. It's something that we shouldn't deal with as Chelsea football fans. Now look, I know I'm rambling on a lot here. I apologise, but I'm sure you'll all enjoy this little rant about how terrible we're being run, about the terrible tactics and coaching. It's all shambles this season, isn't it? Now, there was a point where we won 5 Premier League games in a row, and normally that put us in the top 4. But because we were so shit before that, it's only got us to 9th. But you know what, man? Let's forget that. I hope it changes. But if Mauricio Pochettino got sacked tomorrow evening, someone who I'd back to finish the season better than Pochettino is the special one, Jose Mourinho. Now look, as Chelsea fans, I know we can be emotional about Jose Mourinho. He's the man who essentially made us, isn't he? And for that reason, he has a space in all of our hearts. But a lot of you would say he's washed. He doesn't fit in today's game. He wouldn't be able to perform to the standard that we've seen of him, winning trebles and just doing fantastic things in Europe. And I would agree that he has fallen off his throne. But I promise you, his coaching career is not over, man. It's not over. Regardless of the outdated tactics, he's been able to win a few trophies here and there. And every club he's been to in the past few years, the only place he didn't is Tottenham, where he was not able to play a final as he was sacked the day before. As you all know, I'm sure. My point is, he is a defensive coach. His tactics are outdated, and his recent experiences are nowhere near the level that Chelsea Football Club requires to move forward. But, in my opinion, he's the greatest manager of all time. In yours, I'm sure he's at least top 5. And he should be at least in your top 3, let's be honest. If you sit there and tell me that he would not be able to do a better job than Mauricio Pochettino, I just don't know what to tell you. Before I move on to the next candidate, let me just quickly explain the greatness of Jose Mourinho in about 20 seconds. Champions League with Porto in arguably the most competitive era of the Champions League, when you had teams like Liverpool, AC Milan, Juventus, Inter Milan, and just so many great football teams, Manchester United, so many great football teams running around and just doing amazing things. And he managed to beat them all with Porto. A few years after that, he came Chelsea, built a fortress, and won us a Premier League title over Arsenal, United, and all those teams, with conceding only 15 goals. And lastly, his true greatest achievement was the treble with Inter Milan. Not only that, with washed Inter Milan players and an Eto'o that was nearing the end of his career. Now, I understand that all of that was in the 2000s. I mean, we're 14 years past that era, but what he did in the 2010s is very underrated. He won a couple of titles here and there. I do think he deserves a chance to be able to prove himself, whether it be at Chelsea or another big club. I wish he does find a team that's bigger than Roma, so he's able to prove his amazing tactics. But moving on, I know we got a long video here today, but I'm sure you will enjoy this. Now, my number 2, a very, very recent Chelsea football manager. He only coached there about 2 years ago. That's right, Thomas Tuchel. Now, when Thomas Tuchel left the football club, or rather was sacked by the football club, both he and the fans wished that he could stay longer. Nobody wanted Tuchel to leave, man. Now, I believe it was 10 games into the season where he got the sack. Now, I'm going to be real. He does not deserve that, man. He does not deserve that. And I'm sure that you would all agree. But some of you may say that you don't want him back. The players that we have now would not fit his sort of system, that the 5-back system, even though we still have Chilwell and Reece James in the football club. But look, if you think about it, our football club is still perfect for a 5-back. I mean, look at all the centre-backs we have. When we're playing 2 at a time, they don't perform well enough defensively. I guarantee if you put 3 centre-backs there, with 2 wing-backs help out occasionally, then the defence is going to be fantastic once again. And then you may say the offence will not be as good and we wouldn't be able to score many goals and hence not get enough points. Again, you're wrong. The two wing backs will be helping the offense tremendously. Not only that, we have a lot of wingers who aren't really suited to playing this physical style, but we've got a lot of talented, technical wingers, fast wingers, Madrid, the likes of Nkunku, Cole Palmer. I mean, these are fantastic players, man. And lastly, to put the cherry on top, you got the two midfielders, Enzo and Caicedo, is who I would start in that five-back system with two midfielders. With the defensive coverage of the extra centre-back, Enzo would be able to do fantastically with less defensive pressure. And the same is true with Caicedo, as Caicedo has been unable to shine this season. Even though I will say he has underperformed slightly, he's not been able to show his true abilities, as he's had to just do the defensive work, do the dirty work here and there. Obviously, Conor Gallagher helped with that, and I do like Conor Gallagher, but I feel like he's a bench player or a sort of player that comes into the squad when Enzo or Caicedo's not feeling it. But anyways, that's my tactical analysis of why Tuchel would be still fantastic at this football club, and I'd be happy to have him back. And again, I don't know out of Mourinho and Tuchel which one would be able to be better, but I can tell you for a fact, if they join tomorrow evening, they would both finish higher than Mauricio Pochettino. That's my assumption, that's my guess, and I think a lot of you would actually agree that I am right. Let me know in the comments, man. Now, finally, the perfect manager to take over Chelsea Football Club. Honestly, I don't think it will happen. I sincerely doubt that he'd come to the bridge, even with the money we'd be able to splurge on him. One of the most fantastic managers in Europe this season, undefeated in all competitions. I think you know who I'm talking about. That's right. The Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich legend, Xabi Alonso. Again, I sincerely doubt that he would join our football club with the FFP problems we're in, just everything that's going on. I doubt he'd take the job, especially since there's a club that he loves and is arguably the second best English football club, Liverpool. Honestly, man, I think he will be joining Liverpool, but if he doesn't, I think we'd be able to bring him in, man. But look, I'm not going to speculate on that. What I am saying, though, is if he did miraculously join Chelsea Football Club, he'd be fantastic, man. I can't explain to you how perfect he would be. Once again, I'm going to the five-back system, man. I'm putting the three centre-backs there, the two wing-backs. And if you've seen his tactics this season, he's pretty much revolutionised wing-backs once again in football. It's fantastic, to be honest with you. And what even strengthens my resolve about Xabi Alonso is the amount of injuries to his starters he's had this season. For about 1 or 2 months, he's had about 3 or 4 starters out in his team, and he still managed to be unbeaten. I just don't know. Now, don't get me wrong, right? The German league isn't really fantastic, right? They've got a lot of for the teams. It is a bit of a farmers league. Bayern Munich is always terrorizing. But hold on a minute, he's not managing at Bayern, is he? He's doing it at Leverkusen, right? Beating Bayern, beating Dortmund, and all the teams that are usually the heavy hitters in the Bundesliga. And he's just done so fantastically well. And look, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. Do you guys see my vision? Are we on the same level here? I'm not sure, because man, he's fantastic, man. Xabi Alonso. I think he'll be. I think it's safe to say that he's going to be one of the best managers for the next many years, potentially of all time. But if I make a quick prediction here, man, I'd say he'd crack top 10 in all-time managers. But the top 5 is very strong, and I don't know if he'd be able to get in no matter what he does, because we've got the likes of Alex Ferguson, Pep, Mourinho, Ancelotti, Klopp, Wenger, and I'm pretty sure there's one more that I'm probably forgetting. Those 6 managers for me are just the best to ever do it. And obviously Xabi Alonso, I can see him being that 6th one, perhaps beating out Ancelotti or Wenger or Klopp, something like that. Better than one of those. I'm not sure how I'd rank them perfectly right now. I might drop that in a future video. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. But that's the way I see it, guys. Now, to conclude, the perfect manager is Xabi Alonso for me. But I don't think it's realistic. What is realistic, though, is I'd say Jose Mourinho. Why? Because obviously he currently has no job, And if Chelsea came for him, I'm sure he would be able to. He'd be happy to come in, right? That's two. And of course, there is Thomas Tuchel, but I doubt he'd come back to Chelsea Football Club. Why? First of all, the board would have to accept his return, and in doing so, they'd pretty much say that we'd make a mistake. I don't think they have the balls to be able to accept their mistakes of the past. And Thomas Tuchel is managing in Bayern Munich, man. It's one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Coming back to this organized Chelsea Football Club when you can potentially win a Champions League is something that I'm not sure even Tuchel would be able to do. However, he has said that he prefers his time in England. He was more respected here. He was happy here. But again, I'd say the board would probably not allow that to happen easily. So for me, I think Jose Mourinho is the biggest shout. If Poch was sacked tomorrow, who'd come in to fill in his job? I'd say Jose Mourinho. I'd say Jose Mourinho. What do you guys think, man? Drop in the comments who you'd have as the next Chelsea manager. Who do you think is the perfect manager? And who do you think is the most realistic manager? Let me know in the comments, guys. I'm going to see you next week.